Kyle Allen, ankle, DMP. Sadiq Charles, knee, DMP. Dontrell Inman, hamstring, DMP. Thomas Davis Sr., not injury-related, DMP. Antonio Gibson, shoulder, DMP. Dustin Hopkins, groin, limited. Jaron Christian, knee, limited. And Jeff Badette, hamstring, limited. With that, we can open it up.
Hey, Ron. When you were pretty clear, like your reasoning for releasing Adrian Peterson back in August, but when you make a move like that, how much do you consider that you could face him again?
You always think about that. No matter who you release, you always wonder if you'll face him again. And again, everybody understands where we went with it because we had an opportunity to watch our young running back develop and play. And we've seen 41 J.D. McKissick step into his role, as we've seen Peyton Barber. So again, this was this move was really orchestrated in terms of finding out what we have in terms of our other young backs.
Yeah, are you excited to see him though on the other sideline, or what are your thoughts about it?
I'm never excited about playing against a future Hall of Famer. That's for doggone sure.
Hey, Ron. You mentioned Peyton Barber there for a sec. I'm just curious, as his role has evolved or hasn't evolved over the year, what has kind of happened? Because he was used a lot in that week 1 comeback win against Philadelphia and not as much since, with the exception of the Dallas game. How do you kind of see his path, if you will?
Well, again, you look at the development of what we've gotten from AG. Antonio's done a nice job in terms of his development and probably have taken some reps that would have gone to him if Antonio hadn't started to develop as quickly as he has. Secondly, you got to give J.D. McKissick some credit, for this as well, because he's really developed nicely. And it's not against, anything Peyton hasn't done. It's just that, we've got a couple of guys that are a different type of football player, different type of back.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, we always like to ask you about quarterback, so I'll just do that, but a different one this time. Steven Montez, you guys protected him on the practice squad. Obviously, he's the third guy that you guys have. What have you seen from him so far throughout this time that you've had from him? How has his development been going?
I think it's gone very well. He's it's kind of been fun to watch him. He's a young quarterback. He's got some good natural athleticism to him, very strong arm. He has the ability to make all kinds of throws. He's got to work on his touch. He's got a 90 mile an hour fastball and an 89 mile an hour fastball. So there's not a lot of difference in the way he throws the ball, and he's got to learn to develop that to help him. Very smart, very bright. Spends the time studying, doing the things that you want young quarterbacks to do in terms of developing habits, good habits. He's kind of followed Kyle and Alex around an awful lot, and I think a little bit of it's rubbing off on him. So it's been good to watch him. We felt we had to protect him just in case something happened to one of our two guys that are practicing now. You have a guy that's ready to go. So we'll see what happens. But that was really just a security move more than it was anything else.
And in terms of that, the other day you mentioned that you guys were contemplating what to do with the possible adding another quarterback with Kyle out. Has that progressed? How have you progressed with that thinking? And are you comfortable with Montez being the third guy if needed?
I'm comfortable with Montez being the third guy if needed right now. We'll if that need changes, we'll see most certainly. But right now we feel pretty confident and comfortable in the two guys that are up right now, and both Alex and Dwayne. So, going forward, if we need be, we may have to do something. But right now we're pretty confident with the three guys we have.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron. I was wondering if you're past that moment with Alex Smith where you kind of hold your breath every time he gets hit, or is that always going to be there, do you think?
I don't know. I didn't think about it last week as much as I did the first week. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes this week. But yeah, I guess there is in the back of your mind, you do think about it.
Is his escapability, is it there? Have you seen enough of that? There were some moments I thought the other day, but did you see that?
I saw pretty much some good mobility. Again, you like to see him get rid of the ball a little bit quicker when he does get outside the pocket. That's for sure.
Thanks.
Hey, Ron. Excuse me. Hey, Ron. I just wanted to ask about Cornelius Lucas and kind of if he's cemented that left tackle role, what you think of him now for a couple weeks?
I think he's done a great job. I do, and with Ron with the banged up knee right now, Cornelius is going to continue to play, and we'll address everything as we go forward. But he's done a nice job. He really has. Big, long guy, long arms, smart, understands the game, got good athleticism at the left tackle position for you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron. Bryce Love being able to practice today. What did you see from him, and what have you seen from him as he's recovered or continues to develop or recover or whatever?
Well, you see the quickness. It's still there. It was good to see him out there on the practice field running around. You saw his quickness. You saw his burst. He showed some good hands out of the backfield as well. So it was good to see him back out there.
Can you see a role for him going forward? Just based on what you've seen, how do you assess his future, I guess?
Well, yeah, you most certainly do see a role for him. Again, it's one of those things where you got to go back to his college days and look at what they did when he was at Stanford as a running back. They ran him up inside. They ran him outside because of his quickness and speed. They didn't use him in the passing game as much, which is a little bit of a surprise because he's got good hands, and he's got some return ability as far as a kickoff returner. So it'll be interesting to watch him develop and grow, and it's good to have him back on the football field.
You mentioned on Monday needing to get more from the linebacking position, the linebackers.
Yes.
What do you do in terms of creating that, and do you have the flexibility to make changes, or what's the best way to accomplish that?
Well, the biggest thing is to get them to understand, what their role is and how to play their role. I think our linebackers are still kind of feeling their way around, and personally, I think that they've got to get past that. That's just how I feel about it. That's just the way I see it.
Do you have some kind of end goal in mind for what you'd like from them here in these next few weeks?
Yeah, I'd like for them to play better, be more productive.
Ron, the common consensus is that Alex, with a full week of practice, will be better on Sunday than he was last Sunday. But can you give us an idea just what areas that full week of practice will help him with?
Well, I mean, let's really look at how he played. To me, the common consensus is he played pretty well, with the exception of the last two interceptions. Those were plays that he tried to force, as opposed to just taking what he would have gotten if they had been normal downs. So again, he played pretty doggone well. Now, I think knowing the practice reps he's going to get, knowing the opportunity to not just look at it on paper, look at the film, but to get more practice reps. Yeah, the common consensus is that he should play better, but how much better going forward? I mean, again, over 200 yards of passing offense, 2 touchdown passes, I believe. I'm not sure if judging him on those last 2 interceptions was fair.
Ron, on Monday you mentioned that the question for you all as coaches is determining whether you guys have the franchise quarterback here.
Yep.
But I was just curious, how do you determine whether you have that guy on the roster? What do you all need to see, essentially, especially if Alex continues to play the way? How would you guys determine whether or not you have the franchise quarterback, especially if Dwayne doesn't get a chance on the field again?
Well, it's like this, Ree. When I was in Carolina, we drafted Cam Newton, and Cam started. He started to grow and develop, and you started to get very comfortable that this was going to be the guy. And so you just kept working with him, kept seeing his growth. And you saw him do the things that it took. I think, again, as we go forward with our quarterbacks, we have to see growth. We have to see improvement. We have to see consistency, in my opinion. Again, I'm just looking back on trying to recall the things that drove us in that direction with Cam Newton, and that's probably the thing that I'm looking for more so than anything else. When I sit down with our quarterback coach and our offensive coordinator, we talk about our quarterbacks, and I listen to them describe the things that they're doing, things that they're not doing. It kind of leaves certain thoughts in my mind as we're going forward.
You brought up the other day, seeing Phillip Rivers when you were in San Diego as the defensive coordinator. And I guess I'm curious, between seeing Phillip Rivers and seeing Cam Newton, what makes for a franchise quarterback in your experience working specifically with those two over your career?
Well, I think, looking at the guys that I've been around my entire career, and again, the first real time, being with Don McNabb and, watching us make the commitment to him, watch Andy Reid develop him and have him grow and see him become that guy, that got him to a Super Bowl, and then going to Chicago and watching guys that were on the cusp of being him. And I never really thought, we had a guy that was going to go over the top. Then going to San Diego and watching a guy like Phillip, who played consistent, who had a certain style, a certain way of doing things that seemed to permeate throughout his teammates on the offensive side, and even catch up on some of the defensive guys. You saw that. And then going to Carolina and watching how Cam grew and developed and always seemed to have an upward trend in his development. And you could see his growth and his consistency in his play. It took a while, but there was always that upward trend. And so you felt that this guy had, that ability and what it took to be the next guy.
Take 3 or 4 more.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Hey, Ron, if you were playing linebacker against your offense, I wonder what you would think of the way that Scott Turner uses the running backs. What would you think of that as a linebacker?
Well, I know this, afterwards, when I've talked to a couple of coaches that we've played, the one thing that they talk about is the multi-dimension that we have with our backs. They really talked about AG and JD in terms of their abilities and their ability to run inside, run outside, their ability to go out and catch the football.
Thank you.
Ron, kind of playing off what Rhiannon asked, when you're trying to determine if a guy is your franchise quarterback, can you kind of tell if a guy has that mentality, or is it something that like you said, you kind of look at over time? I mean, is it something kind of immediately?
It's going to take a little bit of time. See, I wasn't with Phillip Rivers in his first couple of years. Mm-hmm. I was there as he was, I think, his third year. Mm-hmm. And as I said, it took time as you watch Cam, and his third year, it really took off. And, as we go through this process right now, we're going to watch our guys and we're going to see how our guys are developing and see what's going to happen. I mean, we've got time right now, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm. And I just have a quick question about Thomas Davis. I know he's been inactive the last few games. I think it was non-injury related. He didn't practice. Are you able to give us any insight on, if everything's okay with him, if you expect him to?
Yeah, today was one of those days. It was a little cool, a little wintry. We were inside on the turf, and so it's one of those things where you got to watch some of your older veteran guys.
Got time for 2 more.
Hey, Ron, no quarterback question today for me, but today is Veterans Day, important day in this country, important day for you. I saw the V on your palm earlier today that you posted on Twitter. Have you called your pops yet today? And I guess what's your message to veterans out there on this special, significant day?
Well, just that they, want to know that they're all appreciated by us. I really appreciate the many veterans that I have as friends, and wanted to wish as many as I could a happy Veterans Day. I haven't talked to my dad yet. Probably a little bit later this afternoon when things settle down for me. But it's a very special day. I did do the V salute to my father that the USAA does, and I think it's kind of a neat program. So it was an opportunity to send out that message, and I think it's this is a day that we can't ever forget. We got to make sure that we honor these folks.
Last one.
Hey, Ron. I think most of I think this is the first season since 1983 that more road teams have won. Is it just the lack of fans? I mean, is there something you can get a sense of why road teams are having so much success this season?
No, that could be it. I mean, again, the home field advantage really isn't what it used to be when you don't have 75, 80,000 people screaming at you. So it does take on a whole different atmosphere, and whether that's it or not, but that seems to be one of the good reasons why.